everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here live for another Brunch and Learn. This is the last one for 2025, but I am so excited that we have gotten through a whole year of continuing education, awesome presentations within the HIM industry. So today's going to be no exception. My name is Dr. Japera K. Barnes, and I'm excited to serve as your host for today's final Brunch and Learn for 2025. We welcome everyone who's joining us live in Zoom, those who are watching us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Welcome. Shout out to you all as well. Listen, just a couple of quick things as we get ready to prepare for our presenter for today. Utilize those who are live with us in Zoom, utilize the chat feature. We want to hear from you this morning. We're going to be posing questions in the chat. And if you have anything that you would like to ask our speaker today as we go along, feel free to exercise those fingers and type and text or whatever you need to do so that you can get those answers or questions inside of the Q&A feature. We also encourage you to utilize the emojis and reactions as we go throughout today's time. And if you want, get to know your colleagues, those who are joining with you. So let us know where you're joining from this morning. If you're in other states or other countries, that's cool. We welcome everybody, and we're so excited and glad to have you all here on the call today. Today's going to be an exciting one because the topic of today is entrepreneurship in the HIM industry. Entrepreneurship in the HIM industry. We are going to unpack that. We're going to crack that egg open and leave you with some gems and some instructions and direction to help you get started along that journey. I believe that you showed up to this presentation not just to get a CEU, but to learn maybe even how you can further yourself, your skills in the HIM industry through entrepreneurship. So again, this is an exciting time. I want to take some time to encourage you to check out the Qualified's website. You can always visit us at www.the-qualified.com. We'll post our website into the chat feature so you can click that link as well. But there you can learn more about what the Qualified has to offer. We go well beyond just continuing education events every single month. If you are looking to get an additional certification or become certified as an HIM professional, be it with your RHIA, your HIT, or even some AAPC credentials, we are here to help you with that. We also offer a project management program now, so we're excited about that if that is an avenue that you would like to take. Listen, if you're looking for a job, maybe you recently graduated and you need some assistance finding employment, then do tap into our website for that as well. That's the service we offer. And then for our job, our employers, let's say it like that. For those who are employers and you are wanting to hire some qualified HIM folks in your department, then please feel free to reach out to us because we have a pool of people who are qualified and ready to serve in the most excellent way. Listen, now that we have all of those preliminaries out of the way, everybody, are you excited and ready for today's presentation? Just type yes, 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 yes in the chat if you're ready to kick this thing off. I'm going to introduce to you our very phenomenal speaker for today, Jesse Gallup. He is a licensed practical nurse of over 20 years, 2 decades. He's been serving in this game. He holds multiple coding credentials through AHIMA, through AAPC, through BMSC, and he also has credentials through he is a HEMA and AAPC trainer. So he has those credentials as well. His never-ending quest for success motivated him to seek opportunities to utilize his medical knowledge in new ways. He was hungry for it, which led him to the health information management industry. So Jesse currently provides live group medical coding and CDI training online for nurses and other folks who are in the healthcare industry with clinical backgrounds through his company, The Coding Nurse LLC. Jesse, we welcome you today to the Qualifieds December Brunch and Learn. We turn it over to you, man. We're glad to have you.
Good morning, everybody. And I want to thank you, Dr. Shapiro and Dr. Kendra, for this opportunity. So we're going to jump right on in. So our agenda for today is we're going to start off with a little bit about me, but I think we can kind of skip that because Dr. Shapiro did a great introduction. What is entrepreneurship? We're going to talk about finding your niche, We're going to talk about organizational structures of business, social media as an entrepreneur, and more importantly, and the most important, marketing as an entrepreneur. We're going to talk about small business resources and then have a Q&A. So, what is entrepreneurship? The definition is the process of starting and managing a small business to meet a business demand and generate steady income. The whole key to business is you must meet a need. That is how you make money. You have to meet a need in the market. And the focus is stability, long term sustainability, and serving a specific customer base. That's going to tie into finding your niche a little later. Then examples are starting a billing company, auditing for small private practices, or providing CEUs. Then funding is often self-funded. It could be family funded, or you can get a small bank loan to get started. And in entrepreneurship, growth is incremental, and you are focused on maintaining profitability rather than rapid expansion. You got to pay the bills. And the definition of a small business is generally defined as an entity with fewer than 500 employees or less than $19 million in income. And an establishment is one physical location, and a firm has multiple locations. In the United States, there are 33.2 million small businesses, and they are 99.9% of all US businesses. And small business employment employs over 61 million people, and they comprise 46.4% of private sector employees. And almost half, 49% of all small businesses have between 1 to 4 employees. Now, finding your niche, that is what is very important, because I'll just hold my comment. So, finding your niche, when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Not no business around caters to every person. Case in point, you look at fast food. Like, not everybody eats meat, so not everybody goes to McDonald's. And McDonald's has more than just meat. They have fish. They have other entrees or other offerings for you to pick from. So it is important to find out who your audience is. Who do you want to attract? That is the most important question that you can ask. And I'll even interject a little bit about myself. When I first started, I was like, oh, well, I want to help nurses. Well, I can't do that because not all nurses want to leave the bedside. Then those who want to leave the bedside, are they ready to leave the bedside? They might not be ready yet. They might not know what they want to do. So I have redefined my niche. My niche is I want to find nurses who are ready to leave the bedside and are interested in using their clinical skills in non-nursing roles. That's a very different dynamic and a very different niche than just saying, oh, I want to help nurses, you know, uh, do something other than work at the bedside. So you have to be very clear about who your niche is. And I'm going to touch briefly on the healthcare revenue cycle. As we all know, as HIM um, people, that the healthcare revenue cycle is huge. And this is just a very, very brief synopsis. So we have the front end, the mid cycle, and the back end. So on the front end, we have pre-registration, we have patient registration, and insurance verification. This is all before a patient is even seen. Then we have mid-cycle. That's where you see the provider or you actually access care. We have CDI, we have coding. Then on the back end, we have billing, we have denials management, and we have payment posting. Now, in that entire cycle, there's enough opportunity for somebody or for somebodies to come up with an idea for a business for themselves. So why healthcare is ripe for entrepreneurship? A $4.5 trillion market. The US healthcare spending exceeds $4.5 trillion annually, representing 17% plus of GDP. So innovation equals opportunity. Also, burnout and workforce gaps. Massive shortages in nurses, coders, behavioral health providers, etc. Entrepreneurs can fill critical service and education gaps. The digital health boom. We have telemedicine. We have AI diagnostics and wearable tech are driving demands for solutions that improve access, accuracy, and cost. Then we have policy and payment shifts. We have value based care, we have risk adjustment models, and CMS incentives create opportunities for consulting, education, and tech products. And value based care is, or also risk adjustment, has become increasingly popular and increasingly in demand for HCC services. There are a lot of large to small, medium practices who need people who are skilled in value based care and risk adjustment models to help them uh, optimize their revenue and to also become and stay audit ready. So start where you're credentialed. You leverage your license, certifications, or insider knowledge to solve real pain points in your niche. Whatever you do now in your job, you could also do for yourself as an entrepreneur. So you start where you're credentialed. And examples, if you're in the education and training sector, you could offer certification courses. For example, coding, billing, CDI, exam prep, CEUs, LMS platforms. Uh, if you're in the consulting services sector, you could provide revenue cycle audits, compliance reviews, practice optimization, and payer contracting. If you're in the tech and digital health sector, you could create a mobile health app. You could work with remote monitoring tools, AI scribe tools, and patient portals. You can do anything that will increase or improve the patient experience. If you're in the product-based sector, you could create wellness supplements, home health kits, or ergonomic medical wear. If you're in the content and media sector, you could start a healthcare podcast, or you could have YouTube channels for patient education or career coaching. You could also perform ghostwriting for providers who want to produce content. And then, if you're in the workforce solutions sector, you could create a staffing agency for HIM, nursing, or allied health, and freelance marketplaces. So next we're going to talk about organizational structures of business. So we have sole proprietorships, we have LLCs, we have corporations, we have partnerships, we have LLPs, which are limited liability partnerships, and nonprofits. So sole proprietorships, they are simple and easy to create, and they are 73% of all US businesses. We have LLCs, or limited liability corporations, can have one or more owners, and it reduces the owner's or owner's personal liability. And you have corporations. You can have an S Corp if you have 1 to 100 owners, or you can have a C Corp and you can have millions of shareholders. For a partnership, one person serves as general partner, and the general partner assumes the most responsibility. You could have an LLP, or limited liability partnership. All partners have limited liability, and the income reported is on your individual tax returns. You could have a nonprofit, and they are dedicated to charitable or social benefit instead of profit, and they rely on donations, grants, and fundraising for operations. Now, social media as an entrepreneur. Now we have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And what I will tell you from experience is I am on two of those platforms because you will find whenever you start your business, you will find that one platform will respond You will get tons of engagement, you'll get tons of feedback, and people will interact with you more on one site versus the other. You don't have to be everywhere, you just have to be where your people are. So if you have a thriving Facebook page or a thriving Facebook group, you have engagement, that's fine. Just, maybe just branch out to one other platform like Instagram, just to possibly capture people who are on Instagram to your Facebook. And Instagram and Facebook are kind of interconnected, so it's even easier to cross advertise. So if you have YouTube, you can also, just do a little introduction just to bring people over. But wherever your audience is, just stick to that. Like, don't feel as though you have to spread yourself thin and post tons of content everywhere. Find your audience, find out what platform resonates with your audience, and drill down on that, and then just sprinkle it over just to call in other people as you need. So it is important to have a personal profile and a business profile. So you want to separate your business profile from your personal profile. And I always suggest that you make your personal profile private. In this day and age, especially in this political climate, you don't want to say something that could be offensive to your potential audience. And if you have your personal profile private, then you don't have to worry about somebody finding something you said. It will decrease it. Somebody will always be able to find it, but it will decrease the chances if you do happen to say something that would be controversial. And I just have a rule of thumb. I don't really put my personal viewpoint on social media. It's just not what I do. I was in a whole different era. So I just use social media for like information and for business purposes for the most part. And you want to have a distinct business persona and only post business related content on that page. If you attend, like, even like posting pictures, if you attend a national conference, perfect. As well, you are well within your rights to post pictures of you attending a conference, people you met. But if you attended your child's soccer game, I just don't think that's appropriate on your business page or in your business profile. You want to keep it separate. Marketing as an entrepreneur. This right here is the meat and potatoes. This is going to really, really help you understand how to market and the importance of different types of marketing. So we're going to talk about landing pages versus websites. So what is a landing page? A landing page is a standalone web page created for a specific marketing campaign with a single goal. Unlike a home page, a landing page typically lacks any main navigation menu and is highly focused. We have all been to landing pages and probably didn't pay it any attention, but a landing page will not allow you to navigate anywhere else. If you want to leave the landing page, you have to click off of it. Everything on that landing page, every clickable item on that landing page is to lead you to a specific end for the purpose of that page being created. If it's to buy something, if it's to register, if it's to download something, that is the intent of the landing page. And then I'm going to get into what is the purpose of a landing page. And it is to drive a visitor to take a desired action, such as signing up for a newsletter, downloading a guide, or making a purchase. So a landing page has a very, very, very specific purpose. Then what is a website? So a website is a collection of interconnected web pages, content, and media, and it's all identified by a unique domain name. For instance, I have like thecodingnurse.com and stored on a web server. What is the purpose of a website? A website serves as a digital presence, allowing individuals and organizations to connect with a wider audience, establish credibility, and meet various objectives effectively. So when it says meet various objectives effectively, you just want to create a one-stop shop where a person or an organization can come to find out more about you and your business, what you have to offer, all of your offerings. You can give a little tidbit of here, I do this, I do, and each page could correspond to a service that you offer. Then you can have a contact button. You could have a button to schedule a consultation. So you just want to introduce your services to the world. That's how people find out about you and what you have to offer. So now we're going to do a deeper dive and get really into the nuts and bolts about leads and funnels, because that is key to your business. So we have a prospective leads funnel. So you always start with a lead magnet, something to bring people in. So your lead magnet could be an ebook, and it could be a reduced cost or free. It could be a PDF. And you want to have something to draw people in. Like you have to have you have to draw people to you. So that's how you entice people to come to find out more about you. You offer them something. Then the lead magnet will take people to your lead magnet will be on your landing page, but you advertise your lead magnet, then you give people your link to your landing page. And that's where you explain your lead magnet in more detail. You tell them all about it, whatever it is. And then this allows or it enables clients to obtain the lead magnet. And this is on your landing page. Your landing page will then lead to lead capture. So lead capture will be name, email address, phone number, whatever you choose, whatever information you would like to obtain from a person who has accessed your lead magnet. So they complete a form which captures info to receive the lead magnet. Then you want to add your client to a CRM. So a CRM is a customer relations uh, model or management. I'm sorry, relations management. And it is critical to a business. So you have HubSpot, MailChimp, and Brevo. So for my CRM, I use Brevo, and it allows you to get a lot of detailed information. So when you start to reach out to your customers, it can tell you how many people opened your email, how many people responded to your email, how many people clicked on it. So you get that kind of useful data to help drive your marketing. Because, like, for instance, I market to LPNs and RNs, and what I found is that the majority of the people who enroll in my course are RNs. But when I market to them via direct mail, their open rate, because an average open rate for the industry is around 2%. So if you can get 2 or 3% of people to open up a cold email, that's great according to the industry. Well, my open rate for RNs is horrible, but are the, they comprise most of my students. On the flip side, my LPN open rate is like 25%, but they don't enroll in my course. So what that says to me is I have to market to both groups differently. So for LPN, since they will open my email, I can I have to do more information building. I have to give them more information, like why you can pivot right now as an LPN into HIM and how you can take my course and how my course will benefit you. So for registered nurses, they probably don't need that. So they respond. I get more interaction with them on YouTube and Instagram. So that's why you have to know what platforms, how you respond, how your audience responds to you. And a CRM is crucial to helping you get some really, really important data. And also, you have to have a CRM and you need to build your own clientele aside from social media, because we've also heard stories where you have people who have like 1 million followers, 100,000 followers, but they don't get engagement. If they come out with a product, nobody buys it. So you you want to be able to capture your audience yourself. So you want to have a lead magnet to get information so you can reach out to your people directly. You want to come up with marketing campaigns directly to help increase your exposure, increase your engagement, and ultimately to increase your profitability. So then we're going to move to a sales funnel. So a sales funnel and a, a lead magnet funnel or a proposal or prospective client funnel is different because your sales funnel is they go hand in hand, but they serve different purposes. Because your lead magnet is part of your sales funnel, it's at the very top. It's the introduction of your business. That's where you let people know, and you let people know via social media posts. Then you come down to the interest phase, where the interest is, you build curiosity. Like, oh, I saw somebody make a post about so and so. Oh, well, let me go back and let me look forward and let me click this link. I saw this link before. Let me click on it now. And you may download the lead magnet. So that lead magnet then get you into, where you can do some really, really hardcore marketing at that point. Once you capture that information, you're off to the races. So then you come down to the decision phase. So once you have a lead magnet, once you have an offering and this person has engaged, now they have to consider you are at the consider buying stage. So you may need to do some more outreach. You may need to start an email campaign to include them to increase the curiosity. And then that's also where they can reach out to you if they have, you can have like a FAQ on your lead magnet, or you can have an FAQ on your website, or you could just have an FA. You can answer questions directly when people ask you. You can also have people um, book a consultation. So they can, if they have any questions, that you can engage with them directly to answer their questions and hopefully convert them. Then you get down to action. So that's where they will buy, book, or register, and you have a strong call to action. Now, is everybody going to get to the action phase at the same point? No, they will not. So what you do is that's where your CRM and your marketing comes into play, because if you have somebody who is engaged but they opened your email, but they didn't click on it. Okay, well, that person is warm. They're not a cold person, because a cold person is somebody who didn't open it at all. So you might need to put them in a separate email campaign to warm them up even more to get them to the decision and the action phase. So this sales funnel is a continuous cycle, and your potential client can be anywhere in this funnel at any time. Once you get them in the funnel, it is your job as an entrepreneur, as a business person, to keep them in the funnel and to pull them down deeper and deeper until they finally take some action. Then we have small business resources. So the SBA is phenomenal. Their website is www.sba.gov, and it's a federal agency, and it really is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs start, grow, and scale small businesses. It offers guidance, templates, and how to start tools, access to funding programs, and help with government contracting and certification. I had a I was a subcontractor on a state contract, and I had already connected with the SBA, because when you register with sam.gov, there's a portion you can click a link in that registration process where they connect you to the SBA. And I connected. I got a mentor who was amazing. This gentleman had worked in the private sector, but he worked as a contracting officer for his company for government contracts for over 30 years. And I got to meet with him weekly. He reviewed my contract for free, word for word. He offers suggestions. Well, you might want to change this or ask about this. Make sure you include that. All for free. The SBA does not charge you for anything. He was a blessing to me and my business. I mean, if I wanted to, when I created marketing campaigns, he would review it. Well, you might want to say it like this, or you might want to, it's too long. You need to shorten it, make it more concise. That kind of information as a fledgling entrepreneur is priceless. Then you have grants.gov. So, grants.gov is a central portal for the US federal government grants, including those for businesses, innovation, technology, and research, etc. Then use the Chamber of Commerce's Apply for a Business Grant Guide to become familiar. You want to monitor state, county, and city government websites for local economic development grants. They're everywhere. You just have to like pick whether you want to work for on the state level, county level, city level, or federal level, and start to seek out funding opportunities. You want to sign up for newsletters or portals that list new grant opportunities. You cannot be on enough lists or enough email lists to find out what is going on. There will be always something you can read, something you can find that will give you a little more information about what it is you want to do. Then we have small business development centers, and it's a national network of business advisors that provide free or low cost consulting and training for new and existing small businesses. Their services include one on one business counseling and coaching, help with business plans, financial modeling, and market research. You can go to SBA.gov, go to local assistance, go to the resource partners page and locate your SBDC network. And also, my mentor through the SBA also helped me complete my capability statement, which is a document you have to have as a business, especially when you want to um, start to secure state and government contracts, or if you want to partner with larger state and federal contractors. So you want to also you have the Service Corps for Retired Executives, and I had not heard of this before. I think this is amazing too. So, SCORE is a nonprofit resource partner of the SBA, offering free mentoring, templates, workshops, and educational resources. So, you locate your local SCORE chapter by state or city for in person or virtual mentoring. You use their library of templates, guides, and online learning modules. There's all kinds of resources out there, and you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You want to, one of these resources, you want to start with that, reach out, you want to find out as much as you can. Then, if you think that you're not getting what you really need or they're not really helping you, then you consider something else. Like you consider one of the other resources. The one thing you do not want to do as an entrepreneur is spread yourself too thin because you'll burn out early. You just want to work incrementally, step by step, and take your time. This is entrepreneurship is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So now we can open it up to Q&A. I know I went through a lot of information pretty quickly, but I wanted to leave time in case people had questions.
That's perfect. I think this has been an awesome time of information that we have received on entrepreneurship. I've been taking all kinds of notes, and we have posted in the chat for our audience. If you have any questions about your business, or if you have a desire to step into entrepreneurship and start a business, we're going to save time as we have for some hot seat coaching where you can ask Jesse questions and allow him to coach you on your business endeavor or business idea that you have. How do you feel about that, Jesse?
I feel I'm ready for it. And while people are working up there, getting their questions ready, I just want to share because I never talked about why I started. You know, I think it was George Washington Well, one of the founding fathers that said, "Mother Ben Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, necessity is the mother of invention." That was me. I started the coding nurse out of necessity because I started during COVID. I created my company during COVID. I was already on unemployment before COVID started. And once COVID started, there was a huge backlog. So people weren't, I went 9 weeks without getting any unemployment. And I was like, I will never be in this situation again. I'm like, I have too much knowledge to be sitting here and waiting for somebody to give me some money. When that check loaded, because it was a nice check, because I had to wait 9 weeks, I started with that check. I created my LLC. I filed my trademark application. I had somebody build my website. I, had somebody create my logo. I was like, I am not going to be in this position again. So that's what started my journey, and I have not looked back.
Wow. Now, were you already before COVID planning and thinking about what you would do, or, did you already have some things in mind? Did you ever want to start a business before then?
What I Right before COVID, matter of fact, I started my YouTube channel December of 2019.
Hmm.
And I just started my YouTube channel just from trying to just tell nurses how I started my journey, leaving the bedside. And I started off just sharing my story, just information. Then I was like, well, would you then I thought, I'm like, well, that's it. Why not teach nurses the way I learned? Why not turn this into a thing? And that's when all that happened, starting in January of 2020 on, because I started my company July of 2020.
That's perfect. I love it. So what would you say? You kind of already gave us this. So your inspiration behind it was a necessity, an absolute need to make a shift. What would you say are some, because you also, Jesse, I love that list you provided. We maybe even go back to that screen. There was a screen that you shared that had different sectors in it.
Oh, okay. I know what it is.
I thought this was gold for helping us kind of narrow down if we want to start business, like based on our experience, what is a good direction, right, to go into. So I love this just for anybody else who was wanting to wanting to see that again. What would you say right now, like, is the biggest opportunity? Maybe even from this list. I don't know if something else comes to your mind is the biggest opportunity in HIM, entrepreneurial opportunity.
Education.
Okay,
And
okay.
education is one. What's not on this list is, and well, it could be considered consulting, data analytics.
Mm. Okay, and what would that look like? Data analytics part of it.
So the data analytics part, because that's going to be, like you heard it here first. That's my next pivot, because I have been toying around with it. I've always been interested, but as coders have no idea how valuable the information is that they abstract. And I teach my students, every code has a dollar amount attached to it. And the data that can be abstracted from ICD-10 CM codes and from just from like a health plan in general can guide outreach. It can guide how the organization allots money. Do they need to put more money into patient education? Do they need to put more money into services for people who have these conditions? All of that is derived from healthcare data, which mainly comes from codes. How I
Wow.
first got interested in data analytics was I was working at this company as a compliance auditor. The person who was doing the EMR training was a data analyst. She was not a coder. she was doing my training because I was the only one that was one-on-one. So she said, "Oh, I just got an email and they want to know how many people," because I was the auditor for all of Pennsylvania, it was 4 clinics. So she said they want me to tell them how many people we have that are on dialysis. So she said, "Do you know how I would do that?" I said, "Sure. You would just search for N18.6 and Z99.2. Those are codes for N18.6 is end stage renal, and Z99.2 is the code for dialysis status." She did a query, took that query, put it into a pivot table, and was done. I
Mm,
was like, my mind, I'm like, I could do that.
100%.
And that's the power of data and
Wow,
coding.
that's awesome.
I love that. Can I quickly say something?
Oh, yeah.
So, in education, we tend to teach our students, right, how to use Excel, how to do pivot tables. And I think that sometimes it stops right there, right? They're like, oh, we may never use this, we may never need this, but they do. And I remember in an advisory committee where someone said, like, sometimes the students can't recall how to do pivot tables. So those refreshers on data analytics, on Excel, on pivot tables are going to be so crucial to us as HIM professionals,
Yeah,
right? Whether you're starting your own business, whether you want to support facilities in this way, you need to know this stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that was a good one. Thank you.
Jesse, what have you found to be the most valuable skill for you in building your business?
Medical coding.
Okay.
Oh, so
Is that
that
a
was a
perfect?
question that I had, right? Jesse, like, did you always want to be a nurse, right? How did that HIM piece come into play?
I never wanted to be a nurse.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Once,
Okay.
once again, I became a nurse out of necessity.
Okay. All right.
What happened was I was always like I was a Boy Scout. I was always like helping people, helping older ladies with their packages. I was always helping. But I never really thought about it. And actually, I started out as a chemical engineering major. One of my friends was a nurse, and I helped her with chemistry. She told me years ago, "You should be a nurse." I'm like, no. So what happened was my brother contracted AIDS, and I took care of him until he transitioned. His hospice nurse was like, "You take such good care of your brother, you should be a nurse."
Wow.
He
Wow.
even wrote me a
Wow.
letter of recommendation, and that's how it's.
Wow. But see, okay, so I had a conversation. I have a sister-in-law who's a nurse, and we were talking over the weekend, and I said, I don't like when people become nurses out of necessity, right? Because sometimes they'll lack that empathy, they'll lack that compassion, right? But you proved in those moments and along the way that you already had those qualities, right? Those characteristics. So that's probably why you made a great nurse.
Right.
So that makes total sense. But I always tell people if the paycheck is the only factor, then maybe you should reconsider, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so then where'd the HIM come into play?
So where the HIM came into play was I got burnt out.
Okay. Did you do
I
light duty in HIM by chance?
did I what?
Did you end up doing light duty in HIM by chance?
Never,
Okay.
never.
I
I was
asked because when I was an HIM director, sometimes we would have nurses do light duty in our department, right? So, I'd have them doing analysis, and this was before CDI, right? I'd introduce them to coding, and it allowed them to like really open up their eyes to see what we do. But then I'm just like, if ever you didn't want to go back to the floor, know that you could work down here too.
so I got into HIM because I was done with nursing. Like I kept my nursing license, but I did not work bed. I left bedside for 7 years. I just kept my license active because that was just the thing to do, and I'm glad I did. So I was a barber when I got into HIM. I had gotten my barber cosmetology license. At first, I going to school for computers, but it kind of like, and then that was back when early 2000. So everything started offshoring when they started sending, tech support offshore. So I ended up back in nursing, didn't like it. So I'm like, I'm done. I'm tearing down the bridge. And that's how I got into the beauty industry. So one of my friends who was still a nurse was like, well, you should look into HEDIS because you have, at that time, HEDIS was mainly nurses and, she was like, it's hard to get in, but once you get in, you'll be straight. So I just kept applying for jobs. And one day a job contacted me. And the only question he asked me two questions. Was my license active and when did it expire? And that was it. That was how I started.
And you've been off since then.
Ever
Taking
since.
off.
Wow, wow. And then only, okay, because HEDIS, you're doing audits and you're reviewing for medical necessity and things like that. But then you decided, let me just take it from there, right? Because once you're doing that, you get introduced to the codes, you get the appeal letters, you start to learn a little bit more about HIM in that way.
Well, the thing about this company was they trained us in coding and HEDIS.
Ah, okay.
How I got into risk adjustment.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. So
That
thank you.
is. I love the story. I do.
Yeah, look, first of all, the barber, the cosmetology, that was just a little fun fact, right? I had no idea.
Me neither. Me neither. But
Jack of
it's
all trades over there.
for real. And utilizing all of those skills. So
Yeah, right.
what type of advice would you give somebody? Let's say they've been working in the HIM space for a good little long period of time and they're tired. They're bored and they feel capped out and they're flirting with the idea of entrepreneurship, but they just don't know. They don't know if it's sustainable. They don't know if it will work for them or they're doubting themselves. What would you tell them?
The number one thing that I would tell anybody is you have to do it scared. Fear will hold you back from everything good in this life. You will never be perfect. You don't have to be perfect to make money. You don't. I look at my first presentation in 2020 looks nothing like the presentation you have today. It doesn't. I was okay with PowerPoint, but now, okay. So you you improve. So you have to start somewhere. Just start. It doesn't matter what, just start. If you if you are afraid of speaking to people, do I always tell people that best place to start is your local AAPC or AHEMA chapter. They let anybody do a presentation. Talk to them. Just get it, just do one just to get it out of your system. Because if you can talk to them, you can talk to anybody.
Hmm. That's
And
good.
just
Good
just
advice.
do it afraid because you will get better. Anything you do long enough, you will improve. You don't How many times have you read a book that has a typo? Like, so would they recall all the books because if it's a typo? Okay, well, you just do better next time.
Hmm.
You don't have to be
Absolutely.
perfect to start, but you just have to start.
I love that. That's beautiful. We ought to type that in the chat. You don't have to be perfect to start. Just start. That perfection will keep people
Yeah.
frozen for a long period of time. Well, let's shift it now. So we talked about folks who are maybe flirting with the idea. They haven't stepped into it yet, but they want to. What about people who are in some type of entrepreneurial endeavor using their HIM expertise and background? How do you scale, grow, or expand the business? So let's say they have a couple of clients that they work with one on one or something like that. Any advice for how they can spread that out a little further?
Yes. once you start, because I'm at that phase too, because there are a lot of some people, because they're all different, there are all kinds of personality types. Some people just have the gift of gab. And I find, this is just my opinion, there are a lot of people in HIM who need to just sit down because they talking loud and saying nothing.
Mhm.
But they are garnering the attention because they're out there. When you have clients and you have a track record, talk your ish. Let people know that you are a subject matter expert because it's the proof is in the pudding. You know, I gotta answer the door. I'll be right back.
Okay, sure. This is so good, everyone. We're just gonna do a real quick mute. There we go. Well, unmute them. So, listen, if you have any questions for Jesse, this has been such an enriching conversation, and we are narrowing down on our time. But I want to encourage you all. I see Danielle. I see your comment. You just got to keep trying until you succeed. I totally agree with you, girl. And I'm looking to see if there's anybody else in there. Listen, if you have any comments or if you have any questions for Jesse or for the qualified as we go throughout this time today, I want to encourage you to ask those questions. If you want to come off of mute and you want to ask the question live, don't be afraid. We just said do it scared, right? So ask that question live. And if you have any direct question that you want to type into the chat because that's just what's most comfortable for you, then go ahead. You can do that too. All right. Because we have a few more minutes before we wrap up today, but we want to give you time to get your questions in. So I absolutely love that. What else we have, Jesse? We stopped you right middle of that thought. So,
So what I would like to say is, to be honest, I wish I could have had a presentation like this when I was starting. I really do.
mhm,
Because there are a lot of people out here who talk about, oh, start a business, or oh, I have this, but they don't tell you how.
mhm.
Like that part about the perspective, the lead magnet and the sales funnel, that's key. Like people aren't out here telling you how to do that.
Yeah.
I am, because I really want to help people become successful. Like that's how you make money. You don't make money by making posts that don't have a call to action, that don't drive people to come to see what you have and don't want to engage in it. Like
Mhm.
you have that, your back end has to be just as tight as the skill or service you're offering.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. I'm looking at comments in the chat too. What do we have? Okay, so we got great presentation. Thanks for this great information. And then Dr. Sabri said, or they want you to pay them to tell you how.
Thank you. And or and if they want you to pay, they still don't give you the information, because then what they do is, then once you pay, then they have another tier.
Oh
You got to
Lord.
pay more money. Because that
Wow.
happened to me with somebody who was in government contracting. And they were talking about all these contracts they were getting. Now, because I am a former federal employee, I kind of realized after the fact, after I spent my $1,000, that, oh, he's not telling people that you got these contracts because you are a service disabled veteran owned small business and you have a security clearance because you were former military. See, everybody can't get that. That's not for everybody. That's for you. But you're using that as a selling point, like you got, but you don't. It's a shame how people do.
Oh wow. So he wasn't given that little piece of information which will make
Right,
a
that
huge
full
difference.
story, right? That
Right.
full story. Yep,
But
everybody can't do everything because our situations are unique.
then what he did was, once you got to that level, he sold this higher tier that was like $5,000. But what it was he would get the contract, but then make you a subcontractor. But just come out and say that.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think so. I think one of the takeaways here, I think, should be if you guys want to start businesses, um, start a good business. start a legit business, be good to people, right? And I
Basics.
think that is going to contribute to your longevity, right? They say a lot of entrepreneurs or businesses don't tend to survive after 5 years, right? And I feel like we're all at that 5 year mark or coming past that 5 year mark because we're out here doing good business, right? We're treating people well, we're offering really good services. And when you don't, then these things start to come to light, right? And people start to feel duped, right? We never want anybody to feel duped. So,
No,
if this is for you, if this is what you decide to do it right and do it well, so you can build a business that you are proud of.
100%. So, Jesse, that leads me to this question. So, this topic that you've spoken about, which is entrepreneurship and HIM and how to get into it, do you particularly offer this as a service to people who are interested, or is the work you do solely focused on helping those nurses come from the bedside and get into other aspects of healthcare?
The work I do is solely geared towards getting people from point A to point B. Like I never thought about, and I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't even feel comfortable charging somebody for. And I know I mean, thank God in 5 years I've learned a lot, but I just wouldn't feel comfortable even charging somebody. That's why I gave all this information out here. Like take it and run with it. Expand, learn, do your own research, learn more about it, and just go from there. Because I mean, how many people do you hear talking about a sales funnel and how it works?
Mhm. Yeah, not many.
The
Not
purpose of a
many tell
lead
you the
magnet, well,
details.
like
Yeah.
a landing page. A lot of people, you thought, oh, I have a website. Okay, well, that's nice. But if you have an offer, you need a landing page.
Mhm. Wow. I love it too, Julia. Julia said she loved that you presented this information today, for sure.
Yes. Well,
So
can I cause some controversy real quick?
do it, do it.
So, so the coding nurse, right? Just because I had somebody message me just a few minutes ago on LinkedIn and they want to get into CDI, right? I get this all the time. I swear, at least once a week, right? And they said, well, CDI only hire nurses, which I tell them is not true. But I want your 2 cents, Jesse.
Okay, it is not true, but it's hard as heck if you're not a
I
nurse.
know, I
And
know.
let me tell, because Dr. Kenji, you and I have we engaged on social media on LinkedIn about the same topic. I,
Hmm.
me as an LPN, even though I have CDI experience, CDI credentials, there are jobs that I cannot get because I'm not an RN. Now, where I worked, fortunately enough, and it's Ensemble Health Partners. Tell people to apply to Ensemble.
Okay.
They
I think that's a
hire,
good one. I always recommend Parallon Business Solutions. Look, we might need to get them to sponsor this brunch and learn.
They need
Um,
to.
yeah, there's several places because you don't need that RN, but I tell people you need to have some coding,
oh,
right?
absolutely.
You need to have some coding because when I was an HIM director, I hired two RNs and I hired two coders. My coders trained my RNs trained my coders. You don't necessarily need that, but you got to have some coding experience. You got to know your way around the record. So don't just use your standard resume and just apply for these jobs. You got to look for those transferable skills and you have to show them that you are qualified and capable of, helping improve documentation.
Dr. Kenji, you really you hit something because can I tell you, like, people really need to step up their resumes.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
because I know because I've as a service to my students, I will redo their resumes and and you know who did my resume? Keisha, the 6 month
Yes.
notice.
She did
Oh,
our brunch and learn. I want to say just a couple of months ago, maybe
Yeah,
August. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, I watched it. And she's kind of pivoted. So that's what made me get into doing resumes. I'm like, okay, well, and I did a little research, but you, a lot of people don't know how to make a resume relevant for transferable skills.
Right.
And that is so important.
Yeah,
mhm.
I
And I offer
agree.
it as a service to my students now. And they do pretty well because you have to have the skills on the paper.
That's
Other
right.
than I'm just certified. No.
Right.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jesse. And I just had this conversation yesterday with somebody because I'm like, in 2026, right? We do exam prep, but we're going to do a resume at the end of exam prep because I always tell my students, right? We don't just slap that certification on the resume and think that we go about our business, right? What does that mean? You
Right.
need to take the time to truly articulate that. And if you use a cover letter, right, articulate it in your cover letter, showcase it on your resume. That is an important piece. And that's why I feel like there's people out here who are certified and they are unemployed,
Yes.
Mm,
right? And these are the people that we really want to service and to help.
for sure.
Absolutely.
This has been a beautiful conversation, y'all, and a time very well spent. We are right. We have reached the top of the. I know you wanted to keep going. I know you wanted to keep on going. So, but if you want this conversation to continue, or if you want to connect with Jessie, the coding nurse, in any shape, form, or fashion, please do, Jessie. Let the folks know how they can connect up with you and inquire if they need to.
Oh, as they say less is right here on the screen.
There is your contact information right there on the screen, right? So everyone, we can you can reach out to Jesse at info@thecodingnurse.com as email address, or you can visit his website, www.thecodingnurse.com. Jesse, thank you so very, very much. You're also on social media. So you said you're on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and what's the other platform?
Well, it's mainly a YouTube and Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, but
Oh,
that's more like, but for business it's usually Instagram and YouTube.
Instagram and YouTube, my friends. And the handle is the coding nurse.
Yeah, both places, yes.
Perfect. I love it. So I think you'll gain some followers, folks that are going to be interested in learning more from you, Jesse, because you have a wealth of information to share. And I'm so grateful for this time that we've got to spend with you. Thank you for just gracing our brunch and learn for the month of December and closing us out with a bang. It's been great. Absolutely
Thank you for
great.
having me.
You're welcome. Friends of the Qualified, we are going to see you all next year, 2026. We have some awesome things in store that are already being massaged and planned for you so that you can remain certified. We want to continue to give you the best educational events in the HIM space, all right? To keep those credentials going. And if you have any questions about the qualified, if you need to get certified, if you need to find some employment opportunities, whatever that may be, visit our website www.the- or hyphen qualified.com, and we will be happy to serve you. It's been a great time, everyone. We want you all to continue shining bright, enjoy the holiday season, and we'll see you all next year. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.